China right now is making a huge propaganda push to try and lie to you and say that China is some sort of high trust utopia. It's crazy.
So welcome to the new segment called Crime in China.
Yes.
No green screens, only the truth.
Yes.
So we first saw it from Lord Pawpaw, I believe.
Yes, Lord Pawpaw.
I believe you may have called him this.
Well, he's got a couple of names around here.
Gotcha.
Flat Cat McDonald's, Da Huo Pang Wang or whatever.
Okay.
But, Lord Pawpaw.
Okay.
Because Lord Haw Haw from World War II, right?
Gotcha.
So this is Lord Pawpaw because he looks like a pawpaw.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
Okay.
We call papaya pawpaw in South Africa.
It's interesting. That you left your mark on it, I can see.
Yeah. Anyway, Lord Pawpaw had something to say. Let's take a listen to what he has to say. Because he works for Chinese state media. He is a propagandist.
Yeah, he's basically...
He is paid by the Chinese state.
He's one of the bigger foreign faces that the Chinese government pays to spread lies for the Chinese government, like overtly.
Yeah, they have him on Chinese state. He is their employee.
Behind me, you can see that in this community, they have all of these boxes left out, which are deliveries for the people who live in this community. And they're completely open to the public, and they just sit out there for days. If I go away on vacation for a week or two, I come back, none of my packages are ever missing. People diligently only take those deliveries which belong to them. And this is accessible to the street. So you can see the street is just right out here. Anyone could just walk up and take anything they want, but they don't.
Something that only you can do in China is leave your parcel out. Look at this. All of these parcels. You can only do this in China because it's super safe.
Chinese people just leave packages here. They're so honest. No cameras and no people.
Really? So we thought we'd have a little look. You could just play this through.
Yes.
I saw this campaign, and that was just 3 clips out of, I don't know how many right now, but
she's stealing that package, by the way. This is clips of people stealing the packages.
From very recently, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw this campaign of foreigners walking around saying the exact same thing over and over again with a little different wording.
Yeah.
Right? Just saying, look, you can leave your packages out. Nobody steals them. And alarm bells are ringing on my head. I'm like, that is the dumb... You would never make that claim to a Chinese person in Chinese.
No.
Right? So what do? I go on the Chinese internet and I look up, it is a massive problem. In fact, it's an epidemic in China of people going and stealing other people's packages. It's not a secret.
Yeah.
And it's funny that the Chinese government's employing this huge campaign right now.
By the way, did you see that guy dressed as if he was like a delivery guy in order to go steal the packages? Yeah.
To put all this money and time and effort into this huge campaign to make other people, English speakers across the world, think China's super safe and super high trust and all this kind of stuff. It's clearly from the top because they're all saying the same thing, and it's so inorganic, right?
Yeah.
Because like I said, if you ask a Chinese person, they would say, what are you talking about? I always get my packages robbed.
Yes.
Just the other day, there was bazillions of people robbed. It's so prolific that the police station and the CCP, I got some of this footage from the CCP.
Yes.
It's from their official crime channel.
This is an official...
This is the police,
the police
department
bulletin.
of Mao Ming.
Yeah.
Right?
It's showing, look, she got one package that she stole. Look, there's another package that she stole. She's looking for stuff from like JD.com or those more expensive ones, because you can see from the boxes she's taking, she's very selective. She's going for the expensive stuff.
This is not to say this doesn't happen anywhere in the world.
Yeah, but
this is to say that China is the lowest trust society I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
You can't leave stuff out.
No.
It gets stolen rampantly. So much so, they make TV official CCP programs
This is the police putting out the bulletin. So see the juxtaposition.
Yeah.
Within the borders of China, the police, the CCP, will put out these bulletins saying, watch out for these package thieves.
They're all over.
Be careful, don't leave your stuff around. It's going to get stolen. They've got these for like e-bike thefts and stuff too. But for the outward-facing propaganda, they say, look at this. You leave your packages here, nobody will steal them.
Just play it through.
I will.
Lots of examples.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Just, it kind of really annoys me that they can just lie so openly and pay their propagandists to lie so openly.
They're clearly being paid or something because there's no reason to say the exact same thing as 10, 20, 30 influencers walking around China from all different countries saying, look, you can leave your packages. You can only do this in China because it is so safe.
Yeah.
When the reality is, it's just not the case. It's rampant.
Of course.
It's everywhere.
China's a very low-trust society. I mean, look,
Full of thievery.
That woman just stole a bunch of packages.
These aren't poor people.
No.
It's just, if something's out, it's kind of free for the taking.
Yeah.
That's how China works.
Yep.
It's
more package thefts here. So
you could do this all day.
Yeah, no, we've found thousands of videos.
There's thousands of videos, and they're not secret.
No,
they're
because,
to warn people.
And that's when you go onto the Chinese internet, it's very apparent, you know.
It's not something they need to hide from their people because everyone knows they're a victim of this.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's something in what they're trying to, what we figured out. There's a reason we're showing you this. What we figured out is China, what they're trying to do is piggyback off of the respect and order
and reputation
that Japan and Korea have.
Yes. Right? That's exactly what you're saying. Everybody knows that in Japan, because you hear the stories, and I mean, we've experienced it ourselves. You drop your wallet or something, people will like actually pick it up and chase you and be like, hey, you forgot your wallet, or the police will have it for you and track you down to your hotel to return it. China is not like that.
I've had my wallet stolen in China.
Yes.
It's the opposite. They relieved me of it.
But a lot of, they're like expecting people to be ignorant and mix the two together.
Yes, and they do that, and they do that for TikTok. They do it for TikTok and Red Note and these other apps, because people that aren't familiar with Asia will say, oh, Asia is safe, Asia is this, and then China gets to ride off of that. And they have to attribute the same kind of stereotypes, positive stereotypes that Japan and Korea get to themselves. And that's why you get Lord Papa and these guys doing this stuff.
And you know how disingenuous it is for them to walk into like a secure neighborhood in a very secure city where there are security guards sitting close by and cameras everywhere and say, look, no one steals anything. I've never seen it. It's like me walking out into the streets here in like this rural like town nearby. And, look, no one gets shot here in America. There's no gun violence.
It's the same idea.
It's the same idea. It's stupid. Like, you know what I mean?
It doesn't exist because it's not happening right behind me right now.
Exactly. It's the dumbest thing
ever. It's also set up. Let's be honest. A lot of these are going to be Potemkin setups.
Yes, of course.
For the shot.
Yeah.
Right.
Now this is he's not going to tell us about bikes.
It's not just him.
Yes.
This was lots of people too. So there was another campaign to say, and I figured out the genesis, by the way. I can tie this directly to CCP propaganda.
Okay.
Was to go around and show that people leave keys in their e-bikes and motorcycles and they don't get stolen, which is just crazy.
Yeah, let's take a look.
Their bike. Someone's delivery, just waiting on the bike with the key in the ignition. Again. And again.
Really?
More
ridiculous
Yeah,
than the package thing.
Yeah.
Is the idea
they'll just steal the wheel.
That they'll steal the wheel, the battery. This is an entire family that goes around stealing e-bikes.
Yeah, see, just pushing it away.
Within the past couple months.
Yep.
I got all these clips very recently.
Look, now, this is the best. The guy's putting up the Chinese flags. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Government worker putting up the Chinese flag.
I'm sorry, we have to start that again. It's just too good.
Yeah, this one's funny.
So, you know, every time there's a government holiday,
yeah,
I'll get us out when it comes up. Every time there's a government holiday, they put the Chinese flags up, you know, for national pride, you know. It's kind of like 4th of July in America. You see American flags everywhere. But they put them on all the street poles. So he's arrived on his e-bike, this government worker. He's putting the flags up. And someone steals his bike while he's putting up the national flag. You know what I mean? They've got no respect. I mean, if they had any respect for their country, or this guy's like, where did it go, right?
Yes. E-bike theft is so outlandishly rampant in China.
Yeah.
It's never mind leaving your keys in the bike.
This is last month, the end of last month, 2025. The date's up in the corner. All of these are very recent.
Weeks ago.
Yeah. It's there they go, steal that bike.
If you were to approach, I mean, again, Lord Papa and these shills and these people that work for the Chinese government go around saying, and I saw this multiple, we should have included more people saying it.
Yeah.
People just leave
like
that
that woman from Spain.
Yeah. People just leave their e-bikes.
I can't believe it.
This would never happen where I'm from or in America. They always throw America in there. This would never happen in America.
Yeah.
Let's listen to this.
10:10
So around 10:10, she left her car there. They stole 6,000 RMB out of her car. Just translated on the fly. And ran off, right? She was going to use it for the New Year's gifts, right?
Yeah.
How long did you park there? 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Right?
Stolen.
So you get your car robbed. You get your e-bike robbed. They take your motorcycle. They don't take it necessarily only if it has the keys in it. They'll break the lock. Yeah. They have sophisticated tools to make sure the steering lock doesn't work, or they'll break or saw off the steering lock.
Yeah.
There is so much. If you were to walk up to a Chinese person, Winston, and you said, "Hey, is it okay to is it safe to kind of park your motorcycle or your e-bike outside
and leave the keys in it?
Leave the keys in it. What
They'd
would they say?
No
they would,
way.
They would laugh at you.
They would laugh at you. They'll say, "This is not America. This is not where you're from."
The thing that it pisses me off, right?
So
this is police footage on the news, on the state media.
Yes.
Going against everything that these paid shills have to say.
Yeah.
And it shows you the juxtaposition. It's like when we found that website about Chinese space program or whatever.
Yeah.
And then when you go to the Chinese language version of the website,
it's all evil rockets and
blowing up America.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you go to the English site, it's doves.
Let's work together,
China is in two different worlds.
It is. Completely.
They pay or incentivize foreign people, usually white people, to go out there and say to the rest of the world that China is this and that and this and that and this and that. And it's 100% a lie.
Yes.
When in reality, they have to lie about the most obviously untrue thing.
This is in the middle of Shanghai.
Yes.
And the batteries are stolen out of this e-bike.
Where, by the way, there's a propaganda campaign coming out of the Shanghai CCP.
Yeah, you said you found the... Is it here, or you're just going to tell us?
No, I mean, I'll just tell you about it.
Yeah, tell us the origin. What's the origin of all this e-bike propaganda?
So the e-bike propaganda is Shanghai CCP, the Chinese government in Shanghai, created this thing saying they're going to really crack down on e-bike theft, right? This is a little while back. So a bunch of verbatim script Chinese videos started coming out.
Yeah.
But then there'd be 100 videos of people in Shanghai getting all their stuff stolen.
See, the batteries are stolen. That's the most valuable part of the bike, and that's very common. Is they just break it and steal it. Oh, wait. I guess we got to see what is Lord Paw Paw saying over there.
Anyway, we could literally show this e-bike theft.
Yeah, it goes.
It's one of the most common crimes in China.
Yeah, it is.
To lie about that is crazy to me.
Yes, to say that your bike's not... We've had our own bikes stolen.
Multiple times.
Yeah. And it's, it's just... Yeah, when people lie with those bald-faced lies, it kind of makes me mad, you know?
Well, because I think it's indicative of so much more than just theft in China. You don't have to care about theft in China.
Yeah, that's in Shanghai.
Yeah. Most of the stuff I did on purpose, I picked Shanghai.
Picked Shanghai. You know, when you steal the battery out of a bike, it's useless. The batteries are 70 to 80% the cost of the bike.
Yeah.
And especially when it's in rough shape like that, it's not worth fixing it. You have to just throw it away, buy a new one. So that's why they just steal the batteries.
Yeah, but they also steal the bikes.
Yeah, of course they do, if they're in good shape.
Yeah.
Because China is a very high trust society.
Really?
China's one of the lowest trust societies, if not the lowest trust society I know.
I need to do a full analysis on that, and I won't talk about why. But I found something that I think I know where this is coming from.
So, by the way, what's happening here is the father is walking out. He's like, "Oh, what's going on?" And this middle-aged, or
Probably turn it down.
yeah, this elderly lady is picking up his son, and he's like, "Oh, okay, what's going on?" And when he looked at the security camera footage, he realized how serious it was, because she was a kidnapper. All right, take a look. She walks up to the kid. She tries to move him along. Okay, then she tries to grab him. And he's like, "No, I don't want to go with you." So she physically tries to pull him. See, trying to take him away, trying to kidnap him, and he becomes a dead weight. Very smart, very smart. I mean, he's young. I'm, really glad that he did that. And then the father came walking out. Luckily, and if you hear the Chinese, he's calling for his dad. He's like, "Baba, Baba," the whole time. So the father's like, "Oh, what's going on here?" And then she just pretends like she was helping him up or something, and then just walks off. But
there is a van around the corner with multiple people in it with drugs to knock out the child. 70,000 children per year. Last estimate. It's gone up.
Yeah, the last estimate, they don't release the statistics anymore.
Yeah.
But it's so bad, you can see people tether children to themselves to make sure they don't get kidnapped.
Ask any Chinese person.
Yeah. This is not what's
is
not what's called a high trust society.
It's the lowest.
Yeah.
The lowest of the low.
Nobody really talks about the kidnapping. I think, honestly, I've made a couple of videos in the past. We've talked about it on the show, but you never see people talking about it. It is so severe. It is so severe that when my parents-in-law came to visit last time, they would not let my daughter out of their sight.
No.
I take her down to the parks here and I let her go play. I mean, I'm keeping an eye on her, but she's like over there. I'm happy that no one's going to run up and grab her. They would not leave her side the entire time. And I was like, you can relax. It's America, but it's so built in. They couldn't. You know what I mean? It's scary, They worry about it. She goes into like a gym class. She's doing gym with her friends in the class. Well, you can still see it. They couldn't, they were too anxious to just let her be there.
Everyone is.
Yeah.
Ask any Chinese person, would you let your kid go play by themselves?
Yeah.
Or out of your sight? They would say absolutely not.
Yeah.
And so for these shills that work for the Chinese government to know this stuff, they know this stuff.
Of course they do.
Right? Mm-hmm. To go out there and say that and betray the truth and betray the 70,000 plus children that get kidnapped every year.
Yeah, and say it's a high trust society.
And to say it's a high trust society and there's nothing to worry about and everything's totally fine and then whitewash these crimes.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Because China is a very high trust society.
The last time they stopped counting was in 2013 or started counting 2013. Yeah. Since then, they stopped counting.
Yeah.
It got exponentially worse.
Yeah, they don't release it.
Estimates are now saying, human rights groups around the world are estimating maybe around 150,000 kidnappings per year.
Per year.
In China.
Because it's a money-making thing.
Yes.
We won't go into it in too much detail. Okay. Thought we'd shift the tone a little bit and make it a little funnier over here. What you've got here is you've got a security guard who's obviously in charge of this area, and you've got a beggar. Okay, now listen to what's being said on his little loudspeaker. Yeah, this old man's a liar, or this old man's a cheat.
Yeah.
Now, why would he be saying that? Because like the beggar's sitting there, he's got his crutches and stuff, So he's obviously, I'm disabled, please help me out. Mm-hmm. He's obviously a con man. He obviously has nothing wrong with him. So the security guard is like, well, I can't make him move. He's probably asked him to move a bunch of times. So he's just going to put a loudspeaker and blast him the whole day on repeat. Probably like 100,000 times. So anyone walking past, he's ruining his business.
Yeah.
And I actually experienced this firsthand. It's kind of funny. I wanted to show you. See that woman on the crutches, that she's leaning on the crutch of this beggar, these beggars that I filmed? You know what's really funny? What? See. Time to pick up your crutch and walk away. It's time to go home now. Don't need your crutch anymore. So you see, it's kind of common. She obviously doesn't need a crutch. She's just using it to get sympathy, to get paid, And again, high trust society, right?
High trust society.
Mm-hmm. Now this little clip we're going to show you right now, which happened just very recently, is going to prove to you.
It was a few months ago.
Yeah, a couple months ago. It was recently. It's this year. It's going to prove to you why people don't help people when they're in trouble. Okay, you got a young girl riding a bike. She falls over. It's not a bad fall. She doesn't really hurt herself. Shop owner runs out, helps her up, makes sure she's okay. The shop owner's wife, even helps to take the bike back to the family. She walks off to her family just over there, as you can see in the distance. Then the family comes over.
That's their kid, right?
Yeah, that's the shop owner's little kid. Then that family comes over and starts blaming him, saying he pushed the little girl over and has to pay compensation.
Yep. That's very common, by the way.
Super common. So that's why people don't help each other, because if you try to do a good thing in China, you get punished for it.
Yeah.
You get punished by the Conmen, you get punished by the Opportunists, you get punished by the government.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult place to be a good person.
It is.
It's
so hard.
Low trust society.
Yeah.
Think about it. High trust society, this wouldn't happen.
No.
See, there's the uncle of the child trying to get compensation. Becomes a whole big thing. But he had the security camera footage.
五一的时候，我跟我的朋友去江西旅
went
游
to。Jiangxi on 5/1. That's their national day or whatever.
Yes.
And she parked outside and then had her shoes stolen right out of her car. And she's just like, what the heck? Because they left everything else. They just wanted to steal the shoes. But
Okay.
in this case, you can see somebody here going into a parked car.
Okay. I'm seeing one of those wasteful orange trees.
Yeah. I wanted to point out this specific clip just because you think it's like some like raggedy clothes wearing person, you know what I mean?
Sure.
The kind of like the beggars you just showed, right? Oftentimes it's not. It's opportunists.
Yeah.
Because if you leave something out in China, it's almost like the person that steals it.
Yeah.
They don't think they're doing anything wrong because you're dumb enough to leave it out.
Yeah.
That's how low trust China is.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
It's almost like, yeah, if you told someone, oh no, someone robbed this from me, they'd be like, good, you idiot. Why'd you leave that out?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how low it is. It's the lowest.
Lowest of the low, man. Well, it ran off with the goods. Again, though, why are you leaving your car unlocked? I'm maybe it's just because I grew up in South Africa, but the idea of leaving your car unlocked is, here's some pickpockets. It's just absurd to me.
This is recently, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's again something you really have to watch out for in China. Pickpockets.
Yeah, we've both been victims.
Yes.
I had an electronic dictionary stolen from me. I also stopped a bunch of pickpockets. So what's happening here?
This is one where someone caught him, which is funny. So this guy catches somebody that stole his phone, pickpocket.
Oh, okay.
I did want to point something out just because it's just desserts to watch someone get caught.
Yeah.
Which is nice. But I wanted you guys to notice something.
Oh, is that the guy getting caught there? Yeah, look, he's got caught.
I want you to notice something in the background.
Yeah.
China's also...
Oh, you mean the homeless people?
Yeah, those shills we just saw?
Yeah.
Saying that you can leave your bike, you can leave your packages. They also, last year, did a huge campaign with the most foreign shills I've ever seen, saying that there's no homeless people in China. And it's funny, because when you see a clip like this, where it has nothing to do with homeless people, when I was watching those shills, I was like, was I crazy? Because when I was in China, I saw homeless people everywhere.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And so I see modern footage like this of someone getting their, catching a thief or whatever, and I see homeless people all over the place. And I go, no, I wasn't crazy.
No.
I was falling for the propaganda. You know what I mean? China's absolutely filled to the brim with homeless people.
Yeah.
We've seen them everywhere we've gone.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's never been any doubt. It was really funny. Remember there was a Reddit post a while back where someone was like, there are no homeless people in China. So someone on Reddit said, I bet you if I go downstairs from my apartment, he's living in China, I could take a picture of at least 10.
Yeah.
And he did. He went down,
whole street.
and it was just homeless people. And then they deleted his thread.
Yeah, because it was on like a China supremacy
exactly.
subreddit, which somehow, oh, by the way, some of those China, like Sino, Sino, whatever, they stay up, right? And they make vicious attacks against us and against and support the CCP's atrocities, that kind of stuff. But then when there's critical subreddits or critical things about China, they get removed.
Yeah, of course.
Very interesting.
It is interesting.
But this is just the other day, by the way.
Yes.
You can see all the homeless people.
Yeah, just to show you that, yes, there are homeless people in China. Yes, there are many homeless people in China. And to think that there aren't is absurd.
These are in first-tier cities, by the way.
Yes, they're correct. I recognize the Shenzhen station in one of the previous clips. So, it's just one of those things, guys. The propaganda is going hard and fast at the moment, like really hard and fast, to try and promote this spick and span clean image of China, to try and make you as a Westerner feel like your country is somehow worse than China.
Yeah.
And that's how they win the hearts and minds of the young people specifically. It's like, look at this utopia that China is, What's coming next?
Well, it's just a bunch of, supplemental crime footage, but I think we have to keep moving on.
Yeah, we can keep moving on. I think people get the idea.
Yeah, people break in with all kinds of sophisticated tools into your house.
When you buy your house or your apartment in China, one of the things you invest in is a very solid door. And even that didn't work with these guys.
Yeah.
That was a metal door.
Yeah.
Because they look wood, but they're made out of metal.
Yeah.
You pay for like these very expensive thick doors to prevent people from breaking in. Anyway, I'll make us big over here and just kind of scroll.
I just wanted to cap this off by saying
you got people breaking into your house at night.
Yeah.
A friend of ours had that happen to him, had his stuff stolen in his room. We've mentioned that before.
It's
while he was sleeping.
It's so commonplace. And I just don't fall for it. Yeah. You're going to see, and again, I don't necessarily think in the world, like if you consider us a geopolitics show, I don't think this is the most important thing to cover. What I think is important to cover is what this means.
Yes.
If China needs to put so much money, time, and effort to pump TikTok propaganda campaigns and Red Note, and then put it on Reddit, and then put it on YouTube, and pay all these people to do this, and they make such a big deal out of it, there's something you need to pay attention to.
Sure.
We need to know why are they doing this, because it's the opposite of the truth. It's 180 of the truth, right?
Yeah.
Why are they trying to do this? Well, I think
it's a split pig.
Yeah, of course. I personally think what they're trying to do right now is specifically target young people, Gen Z, that age group.
Can I just explain, and don't lose your train of thought. That split pig has been left there for the restaurant for in the morning. Yeah. It's like that's the delivery. You know, like how the milkman delivers milk?
Yeah.
The split pig man delivers that and throws it on the dirty ground, and that's what you're going to eat when you go to that restaurant.
Correct. That
split pig that you see there. Anyway, I'm sorry. Carry on with the Gen Z thing.
What I think is happening, you can play these.
Yeah. Well.
What I think is happening is China is investing, and I think this is alarming and shocking and horrible, billions of dollars right now to pump these campaigns out to say China's a high trust society. China doesn't have thieves. China doesn't have this. China doesn't have homeless people. China, while you in America are constantly fighting each other. There's racism. There's homelessness. There's drug problems. There's blah, blah. They're doing this counter campaign. So they pump out a negative message to Americans to make Americans hate their country, right?
Yes.
Hate their situation. And then simultaneously, dual use technology, pump out a message that says China is not only the alternative, the better alternative, it's utopia. And we are innocent of anything that your government or your media says about us, because actually in reality, it's perfect, right? When I see a country doing that at such an alarming rate, because America doesn't do that.
No.
We're not pumping out freaking TikTok campaigns about how China's falling apart, right?
Yeah, and how much better America is.
There's a joke about how the U.S. government is funding like propaganda and stuff, and then U.S. aid goes away, and they're like, you guys were paid by U.S. aid. Well, clearly not, because we're still here, guys.
Yeah.
People who understand China, like us, can bring you the truth, show you the reality, show you what our experience was on the ground, right? When we lived in China for so long, show current footage, current situations to counter this narrative. Because what I think the ultimate goal is to get Gen Z and kind of the general populace of hundreds of millions of Americans that use TikTok to turn on their country. And if there is some sort of conflict in the future over Taiwan or over anything, then they will be demoralized, not support their own country, see China as the alternative and also the innocent victim in this scenario.
You know, TikTok is always there to drive division amongst Americans.
Yeah.
And currently they are, and I'm convinced myself as an educated guess that they're pushing this big narrative of something called black fatigue.
Yes.
Have you heard about that?
Yeah, we're going to get into it next week.
Yeah. This is something that I'm almost 100% convinced is the Chinese government using TikTok to
I'm almost positive.
to create more division within the American public. So guys, if you're seeing a lot of that stuff, please don't buy into it. You know,
they're manipulating the right, the left, anyone. They'll pick. They're not on your team. China not
because
based.
that whole topic is dividing the left and the right like crazy, and that's what China wants. And they're using their own platform to push that on you. So please be very careful of that.
So that was my point. It's not necessarily that we need to show you footage of people being victims of theft in China. It's that this is part of something very large, and it's information warfare.
Yes, and again, we were having a little bit of a debate, you know, in the beginning to show like the thefts in the shops and stuff, because of course that happens everywhere, right? And we could just dismiss it and say, well, you know, thefts happen in American shops too, you know, shoplifting and all this stuff. You see the videos of, you know, the CVS getting looted and stuff. It happens. No, it does. But the only reason we show it to you is because China is pretending it doesn't exist. China is force-feeding you propaganda to say it doesn't exist.
For a reason.
Yes, but it does exist. And we're showing you proof with no green screens, no BS, on-the-ground footage, right?
Yes.
That theft is a thing in China, that people are stealing.
Yep.
That you can't just leave your stuff lying around like they claim.
Yep.
But if you were to see all the outward-facing propaganda from China, you would think that what you're seeing in the background here doesn't exist in China. You would think that it's a utopia with flashy lights.
You would.
No homeless people.
Yep.
Great social programs.
Yes.
It's all nonsense. That doesn't exist in China. They're stealing cigarettes for crying out loud. You know what I mean? Anyway, I think you guys get the point. Theft is a big deal in China.
I remember you lift my spirit, with you high is all I'm feeling. Remember
That is savage. That is just savage.
So disgusting.
I'm sorry, but wow.
You got a brain in a cup with
I
milk in it? What is this? Is this not like a fever dream? You will find something you don't want. 4 months in the piss and shit, and they continue to pee and poop on it.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
I saw it and I go, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. They're trying to make a green pig.
This is such a bad thing. Yeah. All right.
Such a bad